Hi! So, oh man, I should be looking here. You're over there, not over here. Okay. Oh, my battery is dying. Okay. I'm gonna charge you and be right back. We're gonna start this over. Yeah, okay. Alright, be right back. Hey guys, I'm Pallavi and I'm here to talk to you today about my journey to medical school. I'm currently an incoming first year student at Charles University, Second Faculty of Medicine here in Prague, Czech Republic. I'm very excited and yeah, let's get into it. So I'd gotten into my head that I wanted to go to medical school when I was in high school. I think I was in about grade 10, so about 15, 16. I had realized that computer science wasn't going to be for me because I took a course in computer science and that was awful. So I had a nice long talk with my parents, discussed my options, looked at what I liked, what I don't like, and decided that I wanted to pursue medicine. The first thing I did, as you know, a dutiful med school aspirant, I binge watched Grey's Anatomy. I think there were 10 seasons at the time, and I watched it all in 2 weeks. It was fun. I also watched a lot of surgeries for fun, sometimes while eating dinner, which grossed my mom out, and she made it very clear that she did not appreciate it. I also looked obscure diseases up. If I heard something, you know, in a movie or on a show, I would look it up, see what it is. I don't remember any of that anymore. It's been a while. But yeah, I threw myself into the world of medicine and into the process of becoming a medical school aspirant. I was a straight A student throughout high school and didn't have to work too hard for my grades. I think that was a real detriment to me when I went to university, because university hit me like a ton of bricks. It was so difficult because I'd never really studied when I was in high school or in school in general. I just sat in class, paid attention, finished up assignments, maybe like, you know, read over notes multiple times or wrote my own notes multiple times. And that was enough for me to process the information and get it into my head. When I went to university, there was so much that we had to learn in such a short amount of time that that process did not work. Taking notes for every single thing, making them pretty, making them neat, didn't work for me. Reading and just paying attention in class was not enough for me either, but I kept telling myself, you know what, if I just keep working harder, if I keep putting more time into it, it'll be fine, my grades will come up. So first year finished and it didn't end well. I think I finished with about a 1.8 GPA. It was really bad and I was really, really discouraged. So I spent the summer volunteering with a psych research that was going on at another university. And I asked a bunch of friends, you know, how much time do you spend on studying? How do you study? And basically I just got it into my head that, okay, second year's coming. I'm going to put my all into second year. I'm going to study all the time. I'm going to get my grades up. That's my main priority this year. Nothing else matters. Probably not the best idea looking back because I spent all my time in my room, and it was a tiny room because I had moved out of residence at this point. And I was living with some friends from first year, and the unit that we had was like a half basement apartment, so it was like half of it was underground while the other half was, we still had windows so the light would still come in, but it was just small and kind of dungy. And I spent all day, all night in this one room with, you know, my books open and one lamp on my desk, providing the light so I would focus on just my desk and nothing else. It was really hard. I spent hours and hours making notes. I read textbooks all the time. I, you know, would go to class, but instead of actually listening, I would just be so stressed by getting all the information down that I was just like verbatim writing, or sorry, not really writing. I would type my notes up. Verbatim, I'd type up what the professor was saying instead of actually trying to understand what was going on. And I convinced myself that I had no friends because I shut myself off from the world, and I was like, I have no one I can count on, no one I can, you know, talked to about this. So that went really poorly. I walked myself into a depression. And my parents were a great help because I would talk to them on the phone quite often, but they were about 5,000 kilometers away. They were living in another country, so it was hard for them to do much more than listen and maybe give advice. And the time that I was in, the headspace that I was in, I just thought that I don't need to do anything different, I just need to do more. And yeah, it was to my own detriment. That did not help me whatsoever. It didn't help me at all. And eventually, it took a lot of crying, a lot of honest conversations with myself, but I got to a point where I opened myself up. I had a couple of friends that reached out to me despite me being like, I'm busy. They forced themselves into my life and pulled me out, which was amazing of them, and I'm forever grateful. But it took a while. It took a while to come out of it, but eventually I did, and going through that experience made me fear getting into medicine, because this major stress that I had were that my grades were not good enough for medical school. They were like C's and D's across the board. They were so bad. They were really, 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 really bad. And I kept getting so stressed out because I was like, I can't get into medical school. I can't get into medical school with these grades. So I just stopped. After a certain point, after I got out of the depression, after I started opening myself up to people and friends and the light of day, I opened myself up to other opportunities and other pathways, because I decided at that point that medicine was giving me a lot of grief. The mental health aspect of it was not good for me, and I just, no more medicine, no more, we're doing something else, that's final. So I gave up on medicine completely and decided that I was going to do something else. I pursued research. I had done some volunteering already in a research, not in a lab, it was more of a data collection that I was doing at the time, or in the summertime. But I decided to take the summer, or the second semester of second year that I had, and a bit of the summer that I had, just to take a break, de-stress, relax a little bit, and eventually by the end of the summer I was working in a lab, I was volunteering, and I had gotten a job. So when I walked into third year, I was volunteering in a lab, I had a job, and school as well. And I think volunteering and having a job at that point was so good for me, because I met so many people because of that. I opened myself up to so many new experiences and started, spending time outside of my room more. And just like the library, I also learned to listen in class instead of just sitting there and trying to get down all the notes. I paid attention to what was going on, and instead of writing down as much as I could, I tried to listen as much as I could, and that really helped. My grades improved. They improved immensely. It's crazy to think about now, but getting busy with work, getting busy with volunteering, getting busy with friends actually ended up improving my grades instead of making them worse, which in my mind at the time was like, why is this working? I don't understand. But I just needed to chill out. That's what I needed. I just needed to chill out, and eventually I did. So I continued on my path of pursuing research. In my fourth year, I did an undergraduate thesis degree in conservation ecology, and it was a year-long project, and I didn't enjoy it. I think it was a topic that I just didn't enjoy. I didn't like reading papers about it because half of the stuff I didn't really understand. It was on hybridization of plants, and after spending a year on it, I still don't understand how plants hybridize. So that just goes to show you how much I learned. I did end up getting a good mark at the end of my thesis. I didn't publish or anything, but I got an A at the end of the course, and was pretty pleased with my process and was very happy with how I had done. This was the end of fourth year. So I've graduated, I finished all my exams, I'm done all my classes, but I did really well in my last 2 years of university, but because of my first 2 years going so poorly, I still had a really, really low cumulative GPA. I think by the end of university I had about a 2.6 or a 2.7 score across all 4 years, and that meant that getting into medical school, which was already out, getting into grad school was possible, but after my experience and research, I didn't want to. I didn't enjoy it, so I didn't want to do grad school. So I decided that I was going to work instead. I was going to find a job, and I was going to do it in business instead. Find maybe a marketing role, a coordination role. I had some experience with data analysis because of my thesis, so I was going to apply to some analyst roles as well, just to see what I would get. And this is because of the experience I had. My work experience gave me marketing and coordination experience, gave me experience with marketing and coordination, and my thesis gave me experience with data analysis. That's what I did. I moved back home because it made the best decision. It made the best sense financially. I wasn't happy about it, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I moved in with my parents here in Prague. They'd moved around a bit while I was in university, but they were in Prague when I left, so I came here about a year ago and started looking for jobs here. I was applying everywhere, and at the same time I was also doing my visa applications, which was a little bit of a mess. I had to leave the country for some time so that I could wait for my application to process. So I did a bit of traveling. I went to India, stayed with some family there that I hadn't seen in a very, very, very long time. And I continued applying for jobs, but I also started studying for the GMAT, which is the standardized tests that you have to take before applying for MBA schools. And that was my plan, that I was going to work for a couple of years, do my GMAT, and then apply for an MBA school, because I thought that my work experience and a standardized test would put me at a better level as a grad school applicant. And that was something I knew I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to grad school. I didn't know in what, but business looked like the best option for me, considering I enjoyed working when I was in university and I wanted to start earning, and I didn't think science could do that for me at the time because of my GPA. So I spent a year studying for the GMAT on and off and looking for jobs, and it was awful. Job searching is awful, demeaning, degrading, humiliating. I hate it. But it's a part of life, so you gotta do it. So yeah, I spent a year doing that, didn't have fun, but applied for a couple of jobs, got a couple of bites as well, but then the pandemic hit and everything shut down. No one was hiring anymore. Everything was frozen in terms of companies bringing in new people. So I just had to stop, and I was selfishly a little happy about it because now I had a reason, or I had an excuse as to why I wasn't moving forward with my life. And I knew a lot of friends who had also graduated who felt like they were stuck as well because of the pandemic. They couldn't find any jobs, and it made me feel selfishly happier because I wasn't alone in it anymore. I had people I could talk to about it. I had people that could relate to me. But me being me, I just I couldn't stop. I instead started looking at grad schools, going into a science master's instead, because I didn't know when I would be able to get a job, when the pandemic would let up, anything like that. So I started looking at grad schools again, thinking about going into science, and I was just so confused. The worst part about all of this was that level of confusion that I was at. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea where I was going, and that loss of direction really affected my mental health. My parents and my brother will attest to the constant state of bad mood that I was in, and I feel really bad for them for that, so I apologize. But yeah, it just sucked. So I was still so confused, and I had no idea what to do. And finally my mom suggested that I talk to a career counselor. She knew one from a family friend, and we had gotten connected to her, and she had told me to take a psych test. There were two actually. One was a personality-based test, just to see what kind of a person I am, and two was a career test, like a test for what kind of career do you like, what kind of career would you want to go into. So she got all my test results. I also told her my whole story about how, I wanted to go into medical school. It messed my head up, so I don't want to go to medical school anymore. And I'm looking for jobs, but I don't know when I'm going to get a job, so I'm just thinking about doing a science master's. Told her the whole story. And she looked at my test results and basically concluded that medicine is the best path for me. So knowing my history with it, my immediate negative reaction to the adversity that I faced, she said that, if you don't want to become a doctor, that's fine. There are other paths and other careers that you can have within the field of medicine. So I think that would be best suited for you. She said some of my options were nursing or radiology or even like health administration, she said would be good for me. And this is when my stubborn self came out. And I said, no, if I'm going into the field of medicine, it is going to be as a doctor and nothing else. I refuse to do anything else. And so that was it. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm going into medicine. I'm going in as a doctor, and there is no other option for me. I've tried everything else. I haven't enjoyed it. And you know what? This is what I really want to do. This is what I really love. And I struggled through it last time, so I know how much it takes to some degree, but I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how many hours I have to put in. I don't care how much of a toll it takes. Mentally, physically, I am doing this. I'm becoming a doctor. So that was it. I decided. The next step for me was looking up what medical schools were still open or still accepting applications, because this was at the end of April, pretty late in the year. So I started researching places. Most of them had closed. One of the ones that was open was Charles University here in Prague. And I had a couple of days to sign up or fill in all the forms and send in the money. And I had a month to prep for the entrance exam that they have here. And I applied to 2 faculties. I got into one. And the entrance exam was a Zoom interview because of the pandemic. They didn't want us coming in. And they'd asked me 3 questions. One about biology, one about chemistry, one about physics. It could be any question within the realm of these 3 topics. And they would ask me an ethics question as well. And why do you want to be a doctor, obviously. My process for studying for this exam was very intense. I knew that I had only a month to study for it, so that's a lot less than what most people start with. So I put 6 to 8 hours in every single day for this exam, and that was for about a month. I had a couple of days where I was just like, I can't anymore, I need a break, so I took a couple days off as well, but for the most part I was studying 6 to 8 hours. And yeah, I gave the exam in, or I had the interview, and it went okay. I answered all the questions. They were completely answerable, but they had a few follow-up questions which I felt that I hadn't gotten right. So I finished up the interview, and I was gonna hear back in a week. That's what they had told us, and I didn't feel great about it, so I started looking at other options. I wanted to apply to Polish universities as well as UK universities, so I started looking at what the process is for that. I started accumulating MCAT resources, like books and online tests that I could take to practice. And I basically had started studying for the MCAT when I heard back from Charles, and the second faculty of medicine had said that I had been accepted as a student and I would be joining in the next academic year. I didn't believe it in the beginning. I actually emailed back asking if they were sure and if they needed anything else from me. But yeah, I eventually got to a point where I believed them. And yeah, that's where we are at now, and it's very exciting. I'm so happy that I have a direction now, that I know what I'm doing, that I know what I want, and I can pursue it to the fullest. And I can't wait to start this journey. I know it's gonna be hard. I know it's gonna be a lot of work, but I'm still excited. So thanks guys, thanks for watching, thanks for joining me. Welcome to my medical journey. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I want to come out with a video about studying for the entrance exam or my tips on getting into medical school with a low GPA, because I definitely have thoughts. I researched a lot when I was in the process of applying, so I have some things that I could suggest. Let me know which one or both you want to see. And yeah, thanks for watching. Welcome to my journey. I'll see you later. Bye.